This video we're going to be going over what is the best formation tactics for pro clubs. Now this is going to be based on a very attacking team kind of play style, so if you're a very defensive kind of team, we'll make a separate video for that one. But we're mainly talking about an attacking team and about 4 to 5 players in your overall squad. If you have like a full stack squad, this might not work out too well for you. So first things first, when you actually go into your club tactics, you want to choose the 5-2-2-1 formation. Now, like I said, this is a bit more of an attacking formation. Now, you might think, if it's an attacking formation, why is there a 5 at the back? And the reason for that is because the 5 at the back is basically going to be the AI players, and everything else you can fill in with actual real players. So you want to put in 2 midfielders and 3 attacking players, so 1 striker, obviously 2 wingers. You can build them whatever way you want. Obviously, we do have build videos on how to actually build each one of these players out, so you can check those out. But like I said, this is mainly to do with the formation tactics in this video. So like I said, you want to choose the 5-2-2-1. This is going to be the balanced formation. You want to edit this tactic, of course, and then when it comes to the formation, you can see that here. When it comes to the actual tactics, you want to choose balanced as your defensive style. The reason for that is because overall it is just the best option. When it comes to width, you actually want to bring this down because it's quite a wide formation because you've got wingers and everything like that. So you want to bring this in as compact as you could possibly get it, so that there's more spaces on the wing, but when people try to cut inside and score goals, they can't really do that. So it definitely works out really well, especially defensively. When it comes to depth, you can push your player slightly higher up. Between 55 and 60, I think is a good option. It's just so you can win the ball back a little bit higher up the pitch, and you're not having to drop all the way back into your box to win that ball back. And obviously you don't really want to get close to that back line as much as possible. So obviously 60 is pretty solid. Fast build up is what I like to play. Now you could choose balanced or fast build up. Long ball is also pretty good as well if you like to basically hit the ball forward to your strikers. Personally, I think fast build up for our playstyle and my team actually works pretty well. Just passing the ball around a lot quicker. Long ball sometimes does work out pretty well too, especially if you just want to get those balls in over the top. And balanced is just the safest option to go for. Direct passing is always the best chance creation method. It just means that you're always going to hold on to possession of the ball. So just make sure direct passing is the main option. Width, like I said, this is more important when it comes to defending than attacking, so make sure it is 30. And then players in the box and corners doesn't really matter too much, because if your players are going to play as the attacking players, then this can basically vary all the time depending on who's running at the box. When it comes to actual formation, like I said, I've already shown you that. When it comes to instructions, this is kind of important here. So like I said, I'm not going to really touch the top players here. The reason for that is because you're going to basically fill in with your actual friends or whoever it is you're playing with. Now, when it comes to the defensive players, you basically want everything to stay back whilst attacking. So stay back whilst attacking for the wingers, the fullback, sorry, and then overlap runs. And then everything else, when it comes to the 3 centre backs, just stay back whilst attacking. You don't want them to move whatsoever. You just want them to hold that line and just make sure they're there to stop any counter-attack presses. Next up, we're going to move into the defensive formation, and that is this formation right here, which is a 5-2-1-2. So it's basically a 5 at the back once again to defend, but then obviously you're going to fill out the rest of the formation with the rest of your players. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter too much in pro clubs because you're basically center defensive midfielders or center midfielders can pretty much move wherever they want because they're going to be actual player characters. But if you are playing to the formation, then these 2 players should be sitting back as well to try and defend for the last couple of minutes of the game. And then the 3 at the top will be the players that just stay up front and continue to press. But the overall formation, especially when you're just kind of not controlling your player, just kind of keeps it a lot narrower, just making sure players can't come into the center. It does leave a lot of space in the wings, but it's just something that you kind of need to deal with when it comes to this kind of formation. In terms of tactics, we can make the width a little bit wider now because all the players are based down the center of the pitch, so you want to make sure they spread out a little bit more, but they're still going to return back to the center. Defensive styles balanced. Depth is a little bit lower now, so you don't want to be so high up the pitch. Balanced build-up play, I think, is probably the best. Just make sure you are able to hold possession of the ball. Chance creation, once again, I think direct passing is the best way. Formation, again, obviously we went over this. And then when it comes to instructions, again, just keep your defenders on stay backs whilst attacking. Now, obviously, if you're only playing, let's say, like 4 players or maybe even 3 players and you're just playing the strikers, then make sure you also set these midfielders to stay back whilst attacking as well. And then also cover center is very important on both of those. So let's say not all your teammates are fully available to play, then you could take up all the striker positions, and then obviously these center defensive midfielders will play to the formation. Next up, we're moving finally into our attacking formation. And again, it's not really going to matter too much depending on how the players in your team play, like I said before. But if you are going to play with some AI in the team, then obviously this is going to make perfect sense. You want to play a 4-2-2, so that means you can get 4 strikers on the pitch essentially. I know these are kind of like centre mids or left mid and right mid players, but obviously you can fill them up with wingers or extra attacking strikers. It could be whatever you want really, because it's going to be players that you're playing with in your team. And then you can leave those 2 midfielder positions either with AI, or if you do have teammates there, they need to try and hold that position, or they can come and attack with you as well. But that means you've pretty much got like 6 attacking players, and you just keep the defenders back. So again, with the tactics here, I want to do pressure on heavy touch means just basically that you are pressing the ball when you need to, because you are in an attacking phase. You should be on the higher end of the pitch, so just make sure you can get that ball back. Width, again, you want to make that as narrow as possible. You do have kind of out wide players, you want to bring them in as much as you can, not too much though, obviously. Depth, you want to make sure it's just kind of balanced so that you can win the ball back if you need to, but you just don't want to get counter attacked. On this one, I would put long ball just to make sure you can get those balls up and over the defenders. It's the main thing, so players are making runs. Again, if you are playing as the strikers, obviously make sure you are making those runs for your teammates. Direct passing, as always, you don't really need to change that. Width is 35 once again. Players in the box and corners and stuff like that is up to your personal preference. When it comes to instructions, we're actually going to fill out all the instructions on this attacking play, especially if, let's say, one of your players get desynced or something, kicked from the game, or you've not got all the players filled up in the position. So when it comes to the 2 strikers, you want to have them exactly the same. So you want to have them just balance supporting runs, but getting behind so you can get those over the top long balls. That's for both strikers. When it comes to the kind of winger type players, you want to make sure they come back on defense so they can help support the defense when they need to if you get counter attacked. But also get into the box for the cross is the main thing, so they can provide extra support and be that extra striker when you need them. When it comes to the center mids, again, these are going to be exactly the same as well. Obviously, if you are playing these positions, then it doesn't really matter too much. But again, if you do need the AI in those positions, they are making the plays that you want them to. When it comes to defense, I like balanced defense because you don't really want them to stay back. You need the extra support. You need the extra players up the pitch to score that goal to win the game. Then cover center just to make sure that they stay in the middle of the pitch, and that's just going to allow the 2 winger players to stay on the edge of the pitch. You're kind of covering all areas here, and just keep them on balanced everything else. And then you want to keep your defenders on stay back whilst attacking and mixed attack this time. You can put it on overlap, it doesn't really matter too much, but you want to make sure they are able to kind of support the runs of an attack and play in various different ways, and that's why I left it on mixed attack. But you want to make sure they kind of stay back as well. You don't want to be kind of hit on the counter attack. So there we have it. Those are the best formation tactics for FIFA 23 Pro Clubs, especially if you have a lot more strikers in your team and you're not really playing the defensive line. Thank you very much for watching.